Can I ask you something? Have you ever noticed that you can make really complicated decisions all day long? Things like running a business, leading a team, raising a family, taking care of your household, and negotiating contracts, and even solving everyone else's problems, being the ear that everyone leans on. And then you come to a financial decision about your own life, and suddenly there's a committee. You wonder what your financial advisor thinks, what your kids will think, what your brother, your mom, your family, your friends, what are your girlfriends doing? Wondering what everyone else will think, right? What are the markets doing? What do the headlines say? What is my best guess? I'm going to call my psychic. I wish I had a crystal ball, right? And you ask one more person, or you think maybe you should wait. And somewhere in all of that, the woman whose life is actually at question is suddenly silent. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I wonder, are we actually getting advice, or are we gathering information to make a good decision? Or are we waiting for the right person to give us permission? Because I think we all do that a lot. We actually really don't realize how much we're waiting, longing for someone to give us permission or to tell us what to do or how to figure it out. And those two things look really similar. Gathering opinions to make a decision and waiting for somebody to say something that clicks and it feels like you got permission, that you'll be okay. But these two things are not actually similar. And I think the difference has a lot to do with financial certainty. Now, I want to be really clear about something. I completely believe in expertise and getting the right people on your team and having a financial planner and a CPA, an attorney if you need it, right? And I'm a huge believer in getting really good advice. And a financial planner knows things you don't need to know. There's so much complication in legalese with financial products and instruments and the compliance. You don't need to know anything about that. You just need to know that your money is doing what you want it to do for you. And we need accountants. I don't think any of us really want to dive into tax law. And honestly, they rewrite it every single year. So let them do that, right? Totally believe in that. I have an accountant, I have a financial planner, and I have an attorney for only when I need it. And that is not very often, right? And there are things that attorneys should know. So we can hire expertise. But there's a distinction that's incredibly important. Financial expertise can be hired, but financial certainty cannot. Your advisor can help you understand whether you can leave a job, or if the numbers are right, or if you need to keep working, or something you want to fund, you're free to do so. An accountant is going to keep you out of tax trouble all day long, right? And they can help you understand what the options might be. That's what expertise is, right? But they can't actually tell you whether leaving your job is actually what you want, or funding your next move if it has tax consequences. But they can't tell you if leaving your job is actually what you want, or if selling an asset will fund the thing you really want to do, but you want to be informed so you know the tax consequences. The expertise is all very useful information, but it doesn't help you get clear about what you really want to use your money for, and that making a financial move would actually fund the life that you really want or change your life to what it is that you want. And your children are going to have opinions about that. And so are other people, and you may not want to hear those opinions. But those other people don't get to decide what the next 10 or 20 years of your life looks like. You do. And there's a world of difference between saying, tell me what to do, and let me gather information so that I can make a decision and then I'll decide. To me, that is financial certainty, that quiet inner authority, that inner certainty that lets you know that this is important to you and that you need to make a decision for yourself, maybe outside of popular opinion. And I understand how uncomfortable that is and how alone you might feel in that. This is why I do the work that I do. You know, I want to tell you that I don't think you're incapable of making decisions. I think you're quite capable. I actually think the opposite is true, that you've spent decades making really difficult decisions, handling complex problems, but maybe not in this area. And the truth is, we've been scared away as women from handling these things in our life. And I just want to honor you and say that, you know, you've gotten to where you are because you've been really responsible your whole life. You've worked hard. You've followed the rules. You've earned a decent income. You have assets in the bank. You're not broke. And you've planned. You don't waste your money. You don't spend frivolously. You think ahead. You plan for risk. You pay attention to what's happening in the world, right? And you've done the sensible thing. And none of these are bad rules. They've kept us safe. Those rules are why you have the resources you do today. But I do think there's some old rules inherent in there that are holding us back. There comes a point in our life when we have to ask ourselves, responsible for what? Responsible to whom? We're supposed to preserve every dollar that we've accumulated. We're supposed to be able to outsmart the market. We're supposed to follow every financial rule so we never live and sell off an asset because somebody isn't going to like it, but it would actually give us the life we really want to have. And that we're never going to make a financial mistake. When I make a financial mistake now, and I make plenty of them, and they're embarrassing sometimes. Sometimes they're little, sometimes they're medium sized, and sometimes they're big. But I now call them an unplanned charitable contribution. That's my gift to you, to reframe it that way, right? But this idea of sticking to a plan we made 20 years ago for a version of ourselves that no longer exists. Or would you rather be thoughtfully responsible for using the resources you worked so hard to earn, to build, and to have access to the life you actually really want to have? And for years, responsibility has meant kind of build it, save it, protect it, be perfect. Ew. I think you and I both know can be honest with each other and understand what that's cost us. It's cost us this stagnation, this feeling of lack of fulfillment. And maybe in this iteration, the new chapter of the woman we are becoming, the women we're becoming, at a time when the feminine has already risen and we don't have to live by those rules. But the new responsibility to ourself and to life is to actually know what matters to me, to you, to understand what you have in a way that you can use it well. You've earned well, and use it thoughtfully. To me, that's not irresponsibility. That's actually the whole reason you're responsible in the first place. So let's go back to that imaginary committee. And no, you don't need to fire them. But some of them are really useful, and they carry expertise and support and practical advice that really supports your life. But I also want to suggest that your partner matters, your friends matter, and your family matters. And the opinions of others that are important to you matter. But there's one chair at the table that cannot be empty, and that's yours. So let's make one important distinction here, that gathering information is not the same thing as handing over that decision. And one of the things that I really see women of our age struggle with is this old pattern of deferring, of really asking one person and then another person and another person in this secret way of trying to get permission and also being told what to do so we feel like we still fit in, that we didn't break trust. And there's this deep wound around abandonment, or people will leave us if we do something that seems radical or crazy. Imagine my years in corporate when I was in my 40s. I was actually in my 30s when I decided I wanted to get out. Like, I was so sure, I was crystal clear. It seemed crazy. And there wasn't anybody I could talk to in my family. And I didn't want to talk to them because I knew what they would say. And I knew that this was an unstoppable thing for me. This is what I was going to do. And I became very intentional about it. And I got it all from my colleagues. And a lot of them didn't know until the end because I had a strategy and I was working at a company where that's not something that you make public and survive, right? And so I was living with it, but my husband at the time and I had really made this plan, and I was so clear I was going to earn my way out. It was my cellular level direct imperative. And it was so important to me. And it happened when I met my late husband. We were scuba diving on a scuba diving trip. That's where I met him. And one day I was working at Microsoft and it was intense and I was a manager and they reorganized all the time. And, there were just some things that happened that were very uncomfortable to me. And I was standing out there in the warm sun in the Caribbean and I had on board shorts and flip-flops. And I'm like, this is the most me I've ever been, is board shorts and flip-flops. I've always had a joke that if I had a band and ever got into a rock and roll band, I'd call it board shorts and flip-flops. But that moment was so powerful for me because I couldn't go back. And I bet you're at that moment in your life where you can't go back and you don't want to keep doing what you're doing. And I just want to empathize with that here for a moment, right? And it's okay to go get information and collect information. It's okay to listen to what other people think. We're women. We like to talk it out, okay? But the thing that we miss with the financial expertise is that we don't get support in really understanding and knowing what we want. And the more we defer our decisions by collecting so many opinions, we train ourselves underneath it all to actually not trust ourselves with our future. And I want to say to you that financial certainty doesn't mean that you know everything. It doesn't mean that you have all your own answers. It doesn't mean that you do this all alone. And it certainly doesn't mean that you do whatever you want with your money and screw everybody, right? That's actually rebellion, okay? We can secretly admit that we know what that means, right? I've been a lot rebellious in my life. It's actually not authority. And the much quieter that quiet inner certainty is what we're after, because it's built on inner authority. When I talk about inner authority, I don't mean aloneness. I mean the ceasing of deferring, that you ultimately have ownership over your own decision, and that you know why this matters to you, that you understand your resources and you understand what your options are, and you get good advice when you need it, but then you get to decide. Doing it that way is a very different relationship with money. It's the difference between tell me what I should do and me deciding what's the right thing to do for me. Because doing it the other way keeps the authority outside of us. And ultimately, all those old rules have programmed us to be that way. But we're feeling that sense of unfulfillment and disgruntlement with the old money rules, which is why I wrote my book, Be Financially Certain, a new approach for women tired of the old money rules. It's coming out in a few months, which I'm super excited about, because this pattern, I've watched it with too many women and it breaks my heart. But we want to put you back in charge. That financial independence, that sovereignty, the freedom to choose, the freedom to live as you intended, as you want to, as you feel called to, is the entire point. This week, I spoke to a woman that I had gotten connected with through a community I've been a part of for a very long time. And it's funny how many parallels we had and how geography put us near each other and all these things. But she's one of us. She's us. And she had put out a call for help because she said, I really need to talk to somebody. I'm considering selling off an asset. I'm confused about where I want to live. And she has a house in Southern California. She has a rental unit in Northern California. And she had talked to all of her financial people and her accountant. She knows all the ramifications. She's like, what's the right thing to do? When's the market going to be right? How do I make the most money? And that's what her focus was on. And so we talked a lot about this, and this was very emotional for her. She felt so alone. And she said, one of the most profound things I've ever heard said, she said, I'm swimming. I'm drowning in indecision. And so if you feel like that, this is part of why. So we spent 90 minutes together, and what we talked about was reorienting her to focus on what's the life she wants to fund. Then selling the house, moving into the house, buying a different house, living in her rental property, moving somewhere else so she can re-rent her property so there's income from that. All those financial decisions that start to feel super crunchy because you're trying to get it right. You're trying to avoid making a financial mistake. That was paralyzing her. And so we got to shift her energy. She had the clarity inside her all along, and so do you. But we need each other in order to be able to talk it through. In situations like this is why I've become less interested in how much do I need to retire and more interested in what's the life we're trying to fund. Because the numbers matter, the advice helps us. We definitely want to pull others into our decision making and gather information so we're comfortable. But ultimately, we are the ones that are in charge. And this idea of what life am I trying to fund changes everything. It gives you that freedom, that confidence, and that courage back to actually live as you please. And the truth is, a lot of us, when I retired, I was 47, earned my way out financially free. I wasn't done. I was done with that. How many of you are done with that, right? Done with whatever it is that you've been doing. It's normal for us to evolve, for us to have multiple iterations, multiple chapters. We're dynamic beings. We're in our aliveness. We're very alive. So staying and doing something forever or for too long stagnates our energy. And you might want to travel. Maybe you want to start a business. Maybe you want to expand your business. Maybe you want to quit or sell your business. Maybe you want out of your job. Maybe you're tired of the ageism. Maybe you're just tired of the whole grind. But it's so hard to let go of the paycheck. But at the end of the day, you might be readier than you think. It warrants a conversation, and I'm here if you ever want to talk about it. Maybe you want to contribute to something you deeply care about. Maybe you just want to take a year off because you want to go to a spa, you want to travel, you want to garden. It doesn't have to be anything big, but it has to be something that you want. You have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves, want what it wants. My favorite all-time Mary Oliver quote. And it's okay to simply know that you just don't want the next 10 years of your life to look like it has been. And that's okay. And that's information, and that matters. Because until you know what you want your money to make possible, it's impossible sometimes to make financial decisions. Because money isn't life, money funds life. Like, get that in your body, in your cellular DNA. Because once you know what you're trying to fund, all the information becomes so much more useful. This week, I want you to pick one thing, a decision that you've been circling for a really long time, whatever it is, and just sit and think about, are you gathering information to help you make a decision? Or are you looking for permission to do what you really want to do. Because understanding that distinction will give you your power back, will give you that inner authority back, will give you your financial certainty back. Because I know one thing for sure about you. You've been making complicated decisions all your life, and you've been supporting other people all your life. And maybe just take 2 minutes to turn inward for just a second and pay attention to what you want. And if you recognized anything in what we talked about today, don't fire your financial planner, but maybe pick up a journal or start to do something that you really want to do. Go outside, get 5 minutes of pure quiet time away from everyone else. Don't fire anybody on your committee, and don't tell them that you watched me and that I told you to fire them, because I didn't say that. What I did say is change your relationship with the information that they give you. You don't need to stop trusting people that you love, and you don't need to blow up your financial life. But I am asking you to put yourself back in charge of your own financial decisions based on what it is that you really want. And so the next time you hear yourself asking, what does he or she think? Pause and instead say, what's the information that will be useful for me? And I'll use that to help myself decide. This, to me, is what financial certainty is. It's not about knowing it all. It's not about predicting it all. It's not walking around trying to be a crystal ball at all. Nobody can do that. No one can predict the markets. It's all people's opinions and ideas about all of that, right? No one can predict what's going to happen in the world with our politics. Goodness knows that everything is just so loud right now. And it's not about knowing some magical thing so that your investments skyrocket, but it's about you knowing that you have options, understanding what you have, understanding what the risks are, and making a plan. You were taught financial responsibility, but you were never taught financial certainty. So keep watching the videos, binge them, share them with your friends, because I'm here to do this, and I'm going to be here as often as I can. My intention is weekly, because the thing I want you to leave this session with is that financial expertise can be hired, but only financial certainty can be found within. This week, I want you to notice something. I want you to notice when you start asking everyone else's opinion, I want you to pause for a second and ask yourself, what matters to you? What do you think? Because your voice belongs in the room, and your seat at the table is waiting for you. If this resonated with you, definitely stay with me, and we want your voice in the room. If you're ready to put yourself back into the decision, I want to help make that easier for you. Go to knowyourookay.com and get quick access to an AI-powered tool that I have put my entire philosophy and life's work into in less than 2 minutes. You can find out how prepared you are, where you feel you are in your financial life, and get clearer on what's the next big move you want to make, and start to feel some certainty around it. Until next time, stay fiercely feminine.